It's Arkansas Game Day on ESPN Arkansas. Our exclusive coverage of the 2025 Fayetteville Super Regionals is brought to you by ASU Mountain Home, Firstar Bank, and by State Farm Insurance agent Heath Roberts.
What a beautiful play to end it. Here comes the hog pile off to Omaha.
No one's going to throw anything at Dave Van Horn in Omaha he hasn't seen before. And so I don't think it's added pressure. I think the pressure is right there.
Whenever I lost, maybe my dad did it to me, I was kind of a little punk.
This is Arkansas Game Day.
And it's finally upon us. 59 minutes from now, we'll see first pitch for the Arkansas Razorbacks against the Tennessee Volunteers. Hey, welcome in. It's Arkansas Game Day. Would not be here without Heath Roberts with State Farm, Firstar Bank. There as well. And Colton, you're going to have to remind, you got the sheet over there.
I got you, yeah.
Went to, golly.
Our friend Heath Roberts at State Farm. You know, when it comes time for insurance, everybody knows the big names, but I know Ty, who's struggling right now with his health, it appears. He chose Heath Roberts for his health insurance over there and for all of his insurance at State Farm. Although it is a big name, Heath is a local that earned Ty's business. Also by our friends in Mountain Home, Arkansas State University Mountain Home. They offer over 60 degrees and technical programs. The affordable cost combined with extensive student perks and support is the reason why Wallet Hub has named ASU Mountain Home the #1 community college in Arkansas. You can visit their website at asumh.edu for more information or apply.asumh.edu to start your Trailblazer journey today. And by our friends at Firstar Bank for all your firsts, whether saving or borrowing or planning, call or stop in at your local Firstar Bank branch. Your hometown banker with all the digital tools. Firstar Bank, your hometown bank for all your firsts. Ty,
I think we're good.
Are you good?
I had some water, but I think we're good. Got a chance to listen to Dave Van Horn yesterday. We got several clips here the next 30 minutes. Here's DVH on playing the balls again.
I think bottom line, it's what your players do, are your hitters locked in, swinging at strikes, pitchers throwing strikes and doing what they do. I think it gives coaching staffs an opportunity to maybe see more of what might get them out or what won't. And then we got to use it. But really, it comes down to the players. They just got to do what they do.
And as expected, your starting pitcher today will be Zach Root for the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I know there was some speculation what Tennessee was going to do. I kind of thought Marcus Phillips was going to be on the bump for them. I didn't think they would put in Liam Doyle in this first game, even though the possibility of playing him in 2 games this weekend. Maybe he still tries to go a little bit in Game 3, depending on the situation. But Marcus Phillips will be on the mound for the Vols today, Colton, for Tennessee. So that's the matchup you got, just like you had in game number 1, which would have been on a Thursday just a few short weeks ago. Phillips ended up besting Root in that one, and I know Zach wants to do a lot better this time, and he had a great outing last weekend in postseason. Hopefully we see something similar against the Vols later on today.
Yeah, if you remember, I think if Chris Burke mentioned it yesterday, some of this cat and mouse that we might see this weekend, that little, the game within the game, we saw a little bit of that whenever Phillips was in the first time. You said a couple of weeks ago on that night when he was on the bump for the Volunteers, he had been known for letting a lot of runners move around, and so he was working on keeping runners on base for the Tennessee squad, and Coach Van Horn obviously was trying to get Razorback runners moving around, so we may see a little bit of that today. I know that still kind of plagued Phillips as the rest of their season went on throughout the tournament and in the regional a little bit, but I was actually kind of surprised. I thought they might have, in order to ensure that at least Liam Doyle had 1 day of rest in order to pitch a Game 3 if they needed it. I thought they might have pitched him on Game 1, but, Tony V probably has had the attitude that there is no Game 3. They're going to come in here and try and take 2 quick and get back to Knoxville, and I know that would be a worst-case scenario for every Razorback fan listening, but it's going to be a really good ball game today, and Phillips can really pitch, and the Razorback hitters, they've got to have to get after him pretty quick.
It is one of those situations where, as a college pitcher, you're probably just not going to go off the amount of rest that he got. Even in major, it's more expected you can do that in major leagues, but not necessarily that in the setup for everything. So not only did we get a chance to hear from Dave Van Horn yesterday, we heard from some players as well. I'm sure many of you have seen
God bless you.
the pictures that have been circulating on social media here in the last 24 to 48 hours of the players out at Lake Norm. And Camden Kojal was asked about, hey, what kind of, and I said Lake Norman, I think they are actually someone else. Let me strict that. That needs to be stricken for the record. They were actually fishing somewhere else in this picture, but he got asked about that and just fishing with the team.
I mean, it's fun. Yesterday there were about 10 or 12 of us out at a lake south of town, and we were just fishing and playing music and just kind of being boys, having a good time together. It brings the team together, and I think that's what you need in the postseason. You need everyone to come together and like each other and get along. So it's been a fun adventure in that way. A lot of guys have come a long way in their fishing adventure. Some guys have gotten a lot better than others. Some are still learning, but Brent's gotten really good, and V is unbelievable. He's patient. He's a patient fisherman, but Kuhio, if he feels anything on the end of the line, he just sets the hook about as hard as he swings the bat.
I was cracking up when I listened to that. Just him talking about just the camaraderie that they built, not just on the baseball field, but off the baseball field. So hopefully they're relaxed. I know the pressure's on Arkansas this weekend. There's no question about it. You're the higher seed. You're at home. You've beaten these guys already. Dave Van Horn has a much better record against Tony V than vice versa. And we'll see how this team's respond. We've heard from Mike Rooney. We've heard from Chris Burke, who we just talked to, Todd Wright. Like, there's been a lot of people that have told us it's like when the question gets asked about Arkansas winning a national championship, and it's really straightforward. It's about the right group. Mm-hmm. Does this group have what it takes to beat a really quality opponent once again at home and advance to the College World Series for the first time at home since 2019? We'll find out in just a little bit. And even the other thing about this, Colton, I know you've probably seen some stuff this week. Not only is Dave Van Horn and Matt Hobbs, Nate Thompson, and the rest of the staff having to focus on the games this weekend, but they're dealing with transfer portal stuff as well with that being open.
Yeah, the transfer portal thing is kind of interesting. It's at the end of the season, while some of these kids that just got knocked out of the tournament are basically just had an official visit at the team that they were just at. I know that people had their eyes on a North Dakota shortstop that came here to the Fayetteville Regional and had a pretty good couple of games for the North Dakota State Bison. And so that's kind of an interesting dynamic. But I know the number one focus for this Razorback baseball team right now is just the games ahead of them. And it's nice to see that they're still staying a little bit loose. They're not too caught up in the moment, and that pressure really isn't getting to their head too much as it appears before the game. But, Ty, there is a little bit of history on the Razorback side, and on the side of SEC teams playing at home, I saw this interesting stat that Peter Burns tweeted out this morning. Razorback baseball versus Vol baseball is the 12th SEC versus SEC Super Regional ever. The home team won 10 of the 11 in those past matchups.
That's pretty good.
Yep, Razorbacks have Baum Walker on their side for the series.
Speaking of matchups, other super regional action, Coastal Carolina gets a big win at Auburn yesterday, 7-6. Oregon State defeats Florida State, and then North Carolina crushed Arizona. But I think as of today,
Arizona did get their get back earlier today. That was a great finish to that game.
So that's going to be a game 3 between the Tar Heels and that. LSU up early on West Virginia, 8-1. The Chanticleers currently down early in the fourth, 1-0 against Auburn. And those are the only 2 games in action right now. But as you mentioned, Arizona did defeat North Carolina, so that will go to a decisive game 3 in Chapel Hill. Lewis Automotive Group hotline is open for you, 877-377-6963. Now, there has been a lot of, again, build-up, anticipation to today and this weekend. And Dave Van Horn was asked, hey, how have you as a coach, the staff, the team, how have you shielded yourself from that? Here's what he said.
We talked a lot about it last week. And then, after the game, we talked about it as a staff, and then we talked about it with the team. Each practice, maybe just a little bit, maybe mention it again today. Make sure you got everything taken care of so you can sleep good and you're not worrying about this or that, and just focusing on the game and not what people are saying.
Because there is, again, an expectation that this team's advance. I think you listening right now, as an Arkansas fan, expect this team to move on past this weekend. I hope it does. I hope that we're talking about this team going to Omaha, Nebraska, not just on Monday, but tomorrow as well. I hope in the post game it's 2-0. I tend to think it's going to be going to a third game based on the history of these two coaches, these two programs recently, and asking, like Chris Burke, for example. So we had Burke on yesterday. Chris is on call for the game today on ESPN. And the last time that Tennessee beat you in Baum Walker, and it was just Baum at the time, was 2001. And he was on that team. You got to go all the way back to 2005 when Arkansas has lost to Tennessee in baseball as well. So you've got a lot of things on your side heading into this weekend, Colton. You just referenced the stat about the SEC teams and everything else. So, again, is it going to stay true? Is it going to stay the course, or is something going to happen this weekend? We'll find out here in the next few days.
Yeah, and it's one of those funny things because baseball is such a funny game where it's real individualized, and in a sense, the pitcher's up there on the mound by himself at times. You're up there 1 versus 9 when you're at bat. It's kind of a strange thing, and I think that for the Razorbacks, they have done all the little things right so far all season, and it's really just it's a telltale sign of a Van Horn coach baseball team is that for the most part, they don't make a lot of mental mistakes, and I think that's where the Razorbacks have the edge in this series is that you can get a little bit caught up in a lot of the flashy look at me, I'd like to wear the fur coat around the bases and all that stuff, and I think that the Razorbacks have their heads on straight, and maybe that should be the prevailing factor for everybody's favorite baseball team that's listening right now. But at the end of the day, Tennessee didn't really just stumble into this. They're the defending national champions for a reason. Coach Vitello has had that program on the rise ever since he took over there. And so there's a lot at stake today. And Ty, the whole team knows that pressure. It kind of just goes unspoken. It's like talking about the no-no. You just don't do it. So I think that today, hopefully they come out swinging and just take care of business early on because, like you, I am expecting a game on Monday night, but if they can just go ahead and take care of it by the time the weekend's over, that'd make a lot better week for us.
All right, we got one more segment coming up before we hand over the headsets to Phil Elson and Bubba Carpenter here in the Learfield pregame from Baum Walker Stadium. Your calls and texts coming up here on the Lewis Automotive Hotline. Don't go anywhere. Arkansas Game Day continues next.
You're listening to Arkansas Game Day.
Joe's gonna finish. We got one more.
Our exclusive coverage of the 2025 Fayetteville Super Regionals is brought to you by ASU Mountain Home, Firstar Bank, and by State Farm Insurance agent Heath Roberts.
Gone again! Back to back. Helfrich has hit home runs in back-to-back innings.
This moment of relief brought to you by your local State Farm agent, who also brings relief with all your auto insurance needs.
Call Heath Roberts at 479-452-4088 for a free quote today.
Whether you're opening your first checking account, purchasing your first home, saving for your first big vacation, or opening a new business, Firstar Bank offers hometown service with the latest in digital banking technology. Our local team makes banking fast, convenient, and easy. From simple everyday banking to helping you fulfill your dreams, our team is here to guide you every step of the way. Firstar Bank. We'll be there through all your firsts. Learn more at firstar.bank or stop by one of our local branches today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Summer is finally here. Come check out Kofer's Boat Center's huge selection of boats with extra rebates for a limited time. Kofer's features low pontoons and fishing boats, Malibu and Axis wake surf boats, Caymas bass boats, and Kofer's has recently added the luxury line of Harris pontoons. Kofer's experienced professionals will answer all of your boating questions, and their award-winning customer service is second to none. Plus, they have the best boat storage option in town. Find them online at Kofers.com. That's COPATRS.com. Kofer's Boat Center, providing family fun since 1971.
Storm season is here. Is your roof ready? Hey, it's Matt Jones. If the weather has wrecked your roof and you need a roofing company you can trust, call my friends at Patriot Brothers Roofing. They have the #1 certainteed roofing company in Arkansas. They are licensed, bonded, insured, and lifetime River Valley residents located in Van Buren.
Thanks, Matt. We are also the only roofing company in the River Valley that installs a full certainteed integrity roof system and registers a 50-year warranty directly with Certainteed. Patriot Brothers Roofing, because your home deserves only the best.
When you need tough and paint just isn't enough, check out River City Coatings in Van Buren. When it comes to your metals, paint can peel and crack over time. Whether it's your patio furniture, rims or trims on your automobile, or heavy equipment, no one has time for a redo. Powder coating provides the toughness you need. Preserve your investment with powder coating from River City Coatings. River City Coatings, certified John Deere, Caterpillar, ISO 9001, Packer, and UL provider of tough. River City Coatings, 471-7675 or online at rivercitycoatings.com.
Sunday, June 15th is Father's Day, and Jelco Outdoors has hundreds of gifts for those special dads. Special in-store deals on knives by Case, Benchmade, Kershaw, and more. Keep Dad cool with a new cooler by Yeti and Yukon Outfitters. Select hunting and fishing clothing on sale now. New rods, reels, and compound bows would make Dad's Day really special. And Jelco gift cards are always a perfect fit. Jelco Outdoors, your Father's Day gift store. 4600 South Zero in Fort Smith.
Precision Garage Door features the finest quality materials, installation, and service for all your garage door needs, including garage door repair and new garage doors and openers. Fully licensed and insured with the largest showroom in Northwest Arkansas at 1907 Town West Drive in Rogers and in Fort Smith at 416 North 10th Street. Call Precision Garage Door today at 844-PDS-DOOR or check them out online at PrecisionDoorNWA.com. Financing is available. Precision Garage Door, voted best garage door company of Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley.
Top CDL Academy is a licensed Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration that provides the federal required training to obtain both Class A and Class B CDL licenses. Our program provides assistance with employment after graduation. We have finance and grant options available. Students straight out of class have started new careers earning $70,000 to $140,000 per year, and training is provided for all 50 states. Call today, 479-632-1050. COP CDL Academy.
Save up to $4,000 on select Buick Envisions at Harry Robinson Buick GMC. The Buick Envision showcases inspired design with exclusive features in this 5-passenger SUV. Or drive the brand new Buick Envista, a stylish crossover for as low as $399 per month. These are limited time offers. Experience the new Buick at Harry Robinson Buick GMC. Exit 11 off of I-540 in Fort Smith or online at harryrobinson.com.
At Shelter Insurance, we believe insurance should adjust to fit your needs. That's why we work with you to design an auto, home, and life insurance plan that's particular to you. Insurance that fits just right. And Shelter is known for our award-winning customer service, satisfied customers, and a plan for you. Ready to check us out? Shelter Insurance. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
See Agent Randy Milam in Alma or Agent Brandon Zimmerman in Barland.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3. It's Arkansas Game Day on ESPN Arkansas. Brought to you by ASU Mountain Home, Firstar Bank, and by State Farm Insurance Agent Heath Roberts.
The road to Omaha cuts right through Northwest Arkansas and stops right here.
Call or text the program at 877-377-6963.
A gutty, gritty group from Fayetteville finds a way to win.
This is Arkansas Game Day.
To me, the game's the game. Whether you're in season, it was very important that we needed to win that series big time a few weeks ago. I think they felt the same way. You know, as far as competing, he's really a big time competitor. He likes to compete at everything he does, and you know, whether it's shooting baskets, free throw, it doesn't matter. I mean, he's competing, and he grew up that way. His dad's a high school coach, and he was always, you know, as a young kid, always with his dad's teams, and all the way to JUCO to Missouri playing, and then you know, in his coaching career, he's very competitive on the recruiting trail and everything else. So that's what it takes to have success at this level.
When you think about Tony Vitalo, which was probably easy to figure out who Dave Van Horn was referencing there as we continue along on Arkansas Game Day, brought to you by Heath Roberts of State Farm, ASU Mountain Home, and Firstar Bank. One of the reasons that you dislike him, it's not just because of the antics, it's not just because of the flamboyant nature. You've seen that from other coaches before, players, and it happens. Football, basketball, baseball, there are certain teams that do that. But you don't like that he was here, and I don't blame you, by the way, that he was here, and now he's gone on to have success elsewhere. And the most important thing in all of this is he's won a national championship before you, and particularly your head coach, who you feel has done everything right to deserve to get there. And you don't necessarily feel that about Tony Vitalo. George is out, so I don't have to worry about Wes Johnson winning the national championship and another former Arkansas assistant taking one before Dave does and everything else. But Colton, that's another tentacle of the disdain and dislike for this guy that's here in Fayetteville, Arkansas today.
No doubt. I mean, Ty, we talk about it all the time. There's some stuff that Drink up there in Missouri does all the time that gets under your skin. The stuff he says, some of the antics.
And it's above
also
Kiffin because he was an Arkansas guy.
It's because he's an Arkansas guy and because he kicks your butt. He beats you every time. He wins. He's a winner. And you don't like people that win and you're not winning. So I completely get where you're coming from with that. But, I've heard this murmuring around all week when we've had, I think Chris Burke said it. I've seen other people. I saw it in an article from one of the guys at D1 Baseball, how this should be an Omaha-type matchup. It's a shame that one of these teams is going to get knocked out at the end of the weekend. Well, you want to know why it's not an Omaha matchup? It's because Tennessee didn't play well enough at the end of the season down the stretch to garner themselves a much higher seed. So you had that going for you as well, is that you have stayed consistent throughout the whole season, even when things looked a little bit dark there around April, kind of going into May, and you're kind of struggling a little bit. You had dropped a couple of series in a row, road games. An A&M team beat you that had no business beating you at that time. They were relying on some great hitters, and you couldn't pitch very well. You didn't have great starting pitching. You lost your groove, and you feel a little bit more comfortable than you have in past years where that pressure has kind of been a lot higher on you because you've seen this team rise to the occasion time and time again.
Yeah. One of the other parts of this weekend is going to be individuals, not just the coaching individuals, but the player individuals. One of the guys that this was just released not too long ago, Dave Van Horn put out the starting lineup, and Ryder Helfrich once again finds himself in the cleanup spot. Ryder has been awesome for you lately, and Gabe Gackle got a chance to share what Helfrich's been for this team lately.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I wouldn't say I'm surprised because I knew how good of a player he was since 8th grade. And so, to watch him have the success he's having is, it's awesome and, best catcher in the country. So
Tennessee, we've talked about like having to deal with Liam Doyle, having to deal with Tony Vitello. Some of the Marcus Phillips is on the starting mound for Tennessee later on today, who beat you last time, him and Root went head-to-head. But the other element, when we look at the Tennessee vantage point, the perspective, who Bonfield and Vitello and the rest of that staff have to look at Arkansas, it's this starting lineup. It's a guy like Ryder Helfrich who's just been crushing it lately. It's Davalon who always seems to get on base. It's Robinette who walks a lot of times. I know that there are some games that he'd like to have back, but he's getting on base. I mean, there's guys that are still getting on base. Their averages may have been dipping a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. As long as you're getting on base, that's what this team needs to continue. And you got to get 27 outs probably the next 3 days on this Arkansas baseball team, top to bottom. You got to get a guy in the 9-hole like Justin Thomas out, who nearly has double-digit home runs. I think he's at 8 or 9 still, Colton. I still think he's a little bit under. But that's what Tennessee has to deal with your Arkansas baseball team later on today.
That's right. What's the phrase? Hey, they got to play the Razorbacks too, man. They got to play the Razorbacks, and that's what that's about is, look, this team is really, really talented top to bottom, and it's not just the hitters. I mean, I've been preaching this as one of my, feelings of comfort and faith throughout going through this intense time during the postseason whenever things get a little bit rocky and you get that feeling in your gut as you watch the team that you want to win, have their back against the wall. It seems like every time they bring somebody out of that bullpen, it's always the right move. The next guy up out of the pen, your next pitcher has always come in there with some juice to settle things down, weather the storm, or completely flip the momentum with the way they're able to shut down the opposing team's lineup. And look, top to bottom, whenever they've heard we've heard people say it all season long, this is probably one of Van Horn's most talented teams. I mean, I don't think that that's untrue. I think that's very, very accurate. And so if they're not going to do it this year, then this is, I'm not exactly sure, but this is the year they can do it because they've got all the skills necessary. And there's some holes in that Tennessee lineup. They're missing their catcher today. He's out for the first game.
Peebles, yep.
So he won't be able to start. And he had a couple of big knocks against you in that series as well. Very good hitter. And, Ty, I think that going back to what you said about Vitello, there's also just a lot on this because, we want our coach to get his first one.
Mm-hmm. Text in from Alan here on the Lewis Automotive Group hotline saying, number 42 here, he's a 65-year-old Hog fan that cried and laughed in many games this year. He feels like the Hogs are going to win in 2 and that he will see us in Omaha, Nebraska
I like that.
next week. Well, that's a good text to end on, Alan. All right, coming up, Phil Elson, Bubba Carpenter, keep it right here on most of these ESPN Arkansas stations, hitthatline.com, and our Hit That Line Now app powered by Taco Bell. Our pregame coverage and our postgame coverage of the Super Regional would not be possible without Heath Roberts at State Farm, ASU Mountain Home, and Firstar Bank. We will be back 30 minutes following the conclusion of game number 1, which will probably be about 7:30, 7:45 or so, depending on how long this game shakes out. It's on ESPN and, of course, right here on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com. For Colton Little, I'm Todd Richardson. Enjoy game 1 of the Super Regional. Hopefully the Hogs take it. Looking for a big outing from Zach Root.
You're listening to Arkansas Game Day.
Does not finish, we got one more.
Our exclusive coverage of the 2025 Fayetteville Super Regionals is brought to you by ASU Mountain Home, Firstar Bank, and by State Farm Insurance agent Heath Roberts.
Going again.